our rebellious, tech-savvy gunslinger, Yvonne, is finally on banner. There's a lot to talk about with how to optimize her, so in this deep dive, we'll cover her kit in detail, team options, along with detailed rotation breakdowns, and finally, calculations for potentials, weapon options, and gearing. Let's dive right in. Yvonne is a cryo damage dealer who relies on her teammates to stack cryo infliction. She then consumes this with her skill, which, on top of instantly shortcutting her to her final strike, grants a large amount of energy based on the number of stacks. This also applies solidification, allowing her to use her combo, which reapplies solidify after a delay. Her passive grants her a large amount of crit damage against solidified targets, making this an important setup for her burst. Her ultimate launches a long barrage of attacks that finishes with a final strike that deals additional damage to solidified targets. This final strike has a very long aftercast, so it is recommended to dodge cancel as soon as the attack is resolved. This saves nearly a whole second off the animation. Her ultimate has an extremely high energy cost of 220, which won't even be covered by consuming a single 4-stack cryo infliction. Instead, it's recommended to do multiple smaller combos due to the additional baseline energy from her skill and combo. But where does this cryo infliction even come from? Let's talk about her team options. Xaihi is a core support in the cryo team, offering not only cryo infliction, but also healing and amp both her skill and ultimate. Because she's an arts unit user, she can also use weapons such as detonation unit and chivalric virtues, which we'll cover in depth at a later section. Next is Gilberta, who offers a massive susceptibility debuff with her ultimate, lifting the burst window to new heights. Since her combo applies lift, you'll need to be very careful with it, as this will shatter your solidification, potentially breaking your burst window if not timed properly. Ardelia is a workable substitute who has a very similar debuffing power as Gilberta, but requires an extra skill use per rotation to achieve this, slowing it down slightly, but granting healing in return. In the last slot, we have a number of options. First is Perlica, who is an excellent generic support due to the electrification she applies on combo skill. However, a large portion of her strength is locked behind her potentials, requiring P1 to significantly extend the electrification duration, and P4 to increase the base value to 16% as opposed to 12%. Her easy access to applying electric infliction is also excellent for the rotation, allowing us to get a small corrosion with Gilberta's ultimate. Alesh works as a thermite cutter holder who also provides a bit of SP, and can also use his ultimate to apply a free cryo infliction stack. However, outside of that, he has no buffs or debuffs outside of his P3, which is an RNG buff. If you have his P4, you can run the Frontier set with a Redeemer seal to get a little extra buffing. Flourite can offer a free cryo infliction with both her combo and ultimate, accelerating the rotation, though she has no damage increasing effects for the party. This accelerated rotation leads to another problem with the already low stagger in this team. This may be remedied with Swordmaster on Gilberta, which we'll talk about more in the gear section. Snowshine is a defensive support who can technically have the cheapest cryo infliction applications, costing essentially 70 SP or 60 with her P5. However, this requires you to land her parries, which can lead to inconsistent performance between encounters. She also doesn't have any natural buffing or debuffing abilities in her kit, but her ultimate offers solidification, which can help Yvonne's energy generation in rotations beyond the first. Last but certainly not least, we have Rite, who, similarly to Snowshine, can offer cheap cryo inflictions at just 70 SP per, except this can be used on demand and fully stack cryo infliction much faster than any other option. She also offers superior personal damage, though because she doesn't receive any energy from teammates, you do need to feed her some cryo infliction stacks if you want her to be OT'd as well. This makes it very awkward to do a proper rotation that lets both Yvonne and Rite take advantage of the burst window. Combined with Xaihi's skill only providing amp to one operator, we end up getting a team with a scuffed Yvonne and a scuffed Rite. Assuming both characters are invested in with their signature weapons, the total DPS difference turns out to be roughly 10% less than just focusing on Yvonne with another support such as Perlica. Moving forward, we'll use Perlica in the last slot, as she offers the strongest damage increasing effects with the most consistent performance. Let's dive deeper in the rotation section. The primary thing to consider in a rotation is getting enough energy for Yvonne's ultimate. To achieve this, we'll use two Yvonne skills, one at 1 stack and one at 3 stacks. Recall that while bonus energy scales with the number of infliction stacks, the solidification application as well as her combo grant an extra 30 energy. With 7 total team skill casts, this will give her just enough energy. These skill usages will be 4 Xaihi skills, 2 Yvonne skills, with 1 flex depending on your last teammate. As such, replacing the last slot of your party with another character leaves the core rotation the same. In cases where that character skill is not that useful, you can use a 5th Xaihi skill instead. Now to a rotation example. Start out with Xaihi's skill, and after 1 basic attack chain, use Perlica and Gilberta's combos. After 1 more basic attack chain, use Xaihi's combo and then use her skill again, alongside that of Yvonne. Follow up with a basic attack and Yvonne's combo. After this, you'll just be using Xaihi's skill whenever her combo is activated, hitting Perlica and Gilberta combos once they're up. Upon getting to 3 stacks of cryo infliction, wait a few seconds if needed for Perlica's combo to come back up. Then use Yvonne's skill, basic attack, and combo, as well as Perlica's skill. It's important to hold Perlica's combo for a bit here, because we'll need every second of it for the upcoming burst. Use Xaihi's and Yvonne's ultimates, and then shortly after, use Perlica's combo, followed immediately by Gilberta's combo. The timing window is very tight. Notice how Yvonne takes the first shot of her ult as I use the Perlica and Gilberta combos. With this timing, Gilberta's combo will land before the re-solidification from Yvonne's combo. Any later than this, and you'll break that solidification. And any earlier, and you will lose the electrification for your finisher. Around 4 seconds after applying the electrocute, use Gilberta's ultimate, followed by that of Perlica. Don't forget to dodge cancel the final hit of Yvonne's ult here, or else you won't be able to squeeze in the finisher on all those juicy debuffs. Let's now look at it again in full speed. Before we continue, let's talk about Yvonne's potentials. Her P1 is mostly a utility potential, increasing the radius of our combo and adding a couple extra pulses. This hardly affects her damage at all, and the extra energy isn't enough for any huge rotation changes, but will let you get your ult before the 7th skill in a 1+3 rotation, which can potentially save several seconds. Her P2, P3, and P5 each provide a reasonable damage increase, with her P4 returning 10 SP per skill, which smooths out the rotation slightly. Now, let's dive into weapons and gearing. For Yvonne, her signature weapon is around 17% stronger than alternative options, with both Wedge and Navigator coming close to each other at a baseline. Navigator is reasonable to eventually hit potential 5 on as it comes from the Battle Pass, though the overall gain is much smaller than the other two weapons. For gear, you'll want to use the MI security set with the basic attack bonus gloves, as her entire ultimate damage is classified as such. The Link Slab is a massive stat stick that significantly outperforms the average value of another MI security toolkit at the cost of some crit consistency. For skill investment, her ultimate is the highest priority, followed by basic attack. Her skill and combo in comparison are much lower. Xaihi has a lot of gearing options. For weapons, Detonation Unit and Chivalric Virtues have very similar overall value, with Detonation Unit pulling ahead very slightly. However, if you happen to have both, it's actually higher total team damage to use Chivalric Virtues on Xaihi and Detonation Unit on Perlica over Oblivion, just for the art's intensity. For gear, there are two main options. One is to maximize Int, which scales her amp buff on her ultimate, and the other is to run Eternal Zeronite, which is actually run by Gilberta as well, though running it on Xaihi will provide uptime throughout the entire rotation instead of just at the end. Overall, it's higher DPS to run Xaihi on Zeronite, as the damage you gain throughout the rotation outweighs a slightly stronger burst. On Gilberta, Delivery Guaranteed is just marginally stronger than a maxed stanza of Memorials, though in most other teams, this is the other way around. This is due to how Yvonne's ultimate and finisher combo takes over 5 seconds, meaning that the initial portion of her ultimate does not benefit from stanza, as you need to save Gilberta's ult to cover the final hit and finisher. Gilberta needs a total of 53% ultimate gain here. Eternal Xaihi is a generic set that also sees use in other teams, but there's plenty of leeway if you want to grab a little bit of Arts Intensity to gain a little value on the baby corrosion that this rotation applies, though it's not a very significant value at all. If you have their signature weapon, though, you will have enough ultimate gain that you can afford to run the Swordmancer set instead. The Cryo team has very low stagger, making this very useful for aligning break timings for teams such as the last Rite and Flourite versions. We kind of already talked about Perlica. Detonation unit is technically her best in slot, even though she doesn't proc the weapon skill at all, solely for the purpose of the arts intensity it provides. Though this should never be considered unless you also have chivalric virtues as well, as you would be grieving to take this away from Xaihi otherwise. Xaihi also provides arts intensity, nearly matching the amount given by detonation unit when maxed out. But this nerfs Perlica's damage by a lot and is an overall loss versus Oblivion, but can still be workable if you don't have Perlica invested in. But as you can see, the total team damage difference between any of these options is extremely close, with the small gains of Arts Intensity being roughly balanced with changes in her personal damage between the options. For gear, run Pulsar Lab set for the Arts Intensity. You'll also need Eternal Xaihi gloves to have enough ultimate gain for this rotation. And that wraps up this Yvonne deep dive. This was kind of a long one because I wanted to cover everything in the detail it deserves. Please let me know what you think about this format. I take all feedback into account for each guide iteration. If you want to join in on the theory crafting discussions, feel free to join my Discord as well. See you guys next time. Bye bye!